Mixties presents the Popcast. Hey, my name is Brian, that is Shane, and this is the Popcast, and today we're talking about our favorite topic of the moment, and that is America's Got Talent, Semifinals 1. It aired last night, and we're talking about it today. Take it away, Shane.
Man, I got to tell you, I absolutely love you guys, the people who watch this show. We did our Inhumans review last Friday, right? And that's the new Marvel TV show coming out. And we had Siberia Winks and CW Calls, okay, come on out and watch that show, even though they're normal AGT fans for this program. And CW Calls is like, so listen, I know this isn't an AGT show, but I just got to say, I loved Sarah and Hero, and he had these comments. I love it, CW, that you came here and did that. I love Siberia that you came and talked about your Marvel stuff, which I can tell you love so much. We really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to get up every day and do this show because of you guys. So thank you for that.
And I gotta say, Siberian Winks basically turned me on to a show called Death Note. I guess Netflix made a movie about this anime series called Death Note, and I've never really been into anime so much. Like, some animes are okay, like Cowboy Bebop, whatever. But I like the anime that has a Western art style. But I went and watched it because, like, someone that watches our show suggested it, so I feel like I felt compelled to. And I gotta say, I'm hooked on this anime, man. The series is great. And I'm watching it, and I'm going to watch the movie when I'm done with the series. I'm almost done. And I'm hoping I can get Shane to watch the movie, and we can do a recap. Because even if the movie has problems, there is so much, there's so many layers to this. So much to talk about as far as morality and the way it works. We have to do it.
Listen, thank you, Siberia, for putting me on the hook now for this, okay?
Sorry.
I just want to thank you for doing that. He's easy. He's easy to talk into stuff.
I am. I love watching things.
Anyways, thank you guys for commenting. I just wanted to really come out and say that to you, and before we get into the show today, because there is a lot to talk about.
Oh, yes. So let's get into it. I gotta say, number one, overall, a lot of the acts did really well. I have criticisms, but unlike last week, because last week was pathetic, this week was really good. Even the acts that I didn't like last week the last 5 shows came out and did something that was enjoyable to watch. So starting off with that, before we get into the criticism, let's talk about the first. I
just want to say, I want to preface it because I want to preface it with saying I am going to be more critical today because it is the semifinals and these people are trying to get into the finals. So there might be a little bit of nitpicky stuff. I do recognize that the overall bar was a little better. But I think there's going to be some things I say today that people are not going to like to hear. But they're the truth as the way that I see them.
Nothing wrong with that, man. I think we need to be critical. This is the semifinals. So first up was your favorite, and I'm gonna ask you a question after I'm done here. But your favorite gal, Yoli Mare, who I personally think did okay. She's clearly extremely talented. Once again, I hate her song choice. It just does nothing for me. Same with another contestant we're gonna get into a little later. I didn't like the song choice at all. I know she's talented, but emotionally, I know this is a very subjective thing, but emotionally, her song choices do nothing for me. It's like she picks popular songs that are not popular enough, I guess. I don't know what to tell you.
She's picking B-side songs.
Right.
This happened a couple of times last night, and you're right. I think what's happening is they're either choosing something that they personally love, but you need to pick something that a great deal of people are going to love. They're trying to showcase their voice. I get it. This same problem happens all the time on American Idol and The Voice when people choose their own music. The problem is that great song choice is the difference. It's a difference maker. You know, so Yoli sounded good last night. Her voice is great, but the song is boring. And so therefore you get this, but now we're going to talk, when we talk about Darcy Lynn, let's talk about good song choice, or we're going to talk about greater works and good song choice. So we're going to talk about these things, but poor song choice by a lot of the individual singers last night is going to affect who goes through.
Big time. And that's really all I have to say about her, about Yoli, because that's really where it ended. It's like, okay, the second the song didn't connect with me, I felt the urge to sort of just fast forward through it, even though I didn't. But I felt that urge, so I'm like, I don't care about this, And I know it's subjective, but when you're, like you said, when you're picking the B-side songs, there's a lot of people that are gonna have that urge to like just go do something else while that's playing because it's not important to them.
Well, and what's funny is she sung a song from a UK X Factor winner, James Arthur. So it's not a song that we are actually going to be super familiar with, anyways. It's just one of those things that, gosh, it didn't have a lot of hooks in it, and I like her mostly because we had a bet and you lost.
Yeah.
And so every time I see her, I keep thinking about what I'm going to do to you on the finals or force you to do because you lost this bet. And so that's but Yoli is not I'm not favoring her to go anywhere. It would not break my heart if she didn't make it through. And sadly, the last couple weeks, I really haven't liked her songs.
Yeah. And I got to say, if you're listening to us, please make sure to stick around because something extremely embarrassing, I'm sure, is going to occur on our final podcast for AGT.
Oh, yeah. About 3 weeks from now. Be here.
Speaking of, by the way, this is our big 4-0. This is our 40th podcast of the second season of our show, and with this new format, the format that seems to be working for us. Before it was just us talking with no images, and this is much better. So congratulations, Shane, number 40, bro.
No, congratulations to you. I got to tell you, it doesn't feel like work. No. So it doesn't feel like 40 episodes.
It doesn't feel like work to you. I have to do all the editing.
That's true. I just get to talk. So thank you for being our engineer for 40 shows. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. So next up was Eric Johnson, and so he got all kinds of praise online and with the judges and the audience and on Twitter. Everybody's praising him.
It's Eric Jones is his name.
Sorry, I don't know why.
We took some heat last week.
Sorry, guys.
Took some heat last week.
I keep calling Eric Johnson. Look, here's the deal. I'm bad with names as it is. So asking me to remember like 60 names for this show is like so hard.
Just use their first names, maybe.
And Eric. I didn't write them down. I just Eric J. So Eric Jones, who I was favoring 3 weeks ago, and I've been trying to hold on to that love for Eric, but I gotta say, his last act was not great, and to be honest, last night's act did nothing for me. I didn't even understand what the trick was. I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, we're in opposite land today. I can feel it. I can feel it coming. I felt Eric Jones' performance was much better this week than it was last week. Although I will swear to you that I saw him put 2 coins in Heidi's hand. For whatever reason, she thought she had 3 because when she dumped her hand out, only 2 came out. But I thought to myself, that looks like only 2 coins going into her hand. So maybe it was just me seeing it that way. But I honestly feel like Eric Jones did a trick that I don't know how he did it. He definitely put.
They're magnetic. They're magnetic. That's it.
But right, but it's close magic. So if it's not cheap, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how it was done. I don't want to tell anybody how it was done necessarily. I honestly don't know. It's something I have not seen before, which we've been complaining a lot about, seeing the same kind of stuff over and over again. So we got to give Eric a little bit of love that way. He's still not the greatest performer, but you can tell he tried more. He tried harder to be a better performer.
Yeah, he had some jokes.
I want to give Eric Jones some love here. And I got to tell you, I voted for Eric Jones last night because I felt like Eric. I did. I gave him votes. I felt like Eric was much better than he was previously. And honestly, it's a magic trick that was fresh, that was new, and I'm not exactly sure how he did it. So
here's the problem now. Like the entire time it was the different numbers of coins, right? Like
they kept the disappearing coins. Basically, he would lose a coin each time.
Yeah, I don't know if close-up magic works at this level. It's
Well,
so
neither did
hard to
disappearing
really,
magic because
yeah.
there is a problem with magic right now, and somebody recently complained that basically Penn and Teller ruined ruined magic by their shows that talk about magic and how it's done and stuff like that. So, but the close-up magic is hot right now. The big stage magic, I kind of miss it as well. But we had a big stage magic performer, and the escape artist, and people didn't want him.
Because escape artists that also escape artists are just overly done and just boring.
So what's left? I mean,
big stage magic.
I mean, I guess make the pyramids disappear. I mean, there are those. I mean,
we had them last season. We had some big stage magic that was really fun to watch.
Yeah. I just think the close magic is where it's at right now, and I'm gauging the performance based on the judges, because the judges, and while I don't always trust them because I know their job is to make the show positive and
right.
and exciting, I do feel like there was some genuine surprise there with what Eric Jones was doing. So I really want to give Eric Jones his credit due. I feel like he took it up to the next level, and
okay.
I don't know if he'll be one of the 5 that goes through. And I got to admit, I kind of voted for him because I felt like I kind of had been trashing him, and he brought it this last week.
Okay, so, that's fair. Yeah, I just and I've been praising him, and last night for me
was a little bit down. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't feel much. I mean, it was really sort of hard to track. So, good luck, Eric. Maybe next time I like it. I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly don't see Eric getting through, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, next up was someone I have also trashed for, every single episode. I have been begging for them to be removed from the show. But I gotta say, last night, boy, did they kill it. You ever seen those movies like Sister Act or Pitch Perfect?
Mm-hmm.
They have these like perfect choir setups where it's like, obviously it's a movie, so they make this perfect choir performance of a popular song. And for me, last night, we saw a perfect choir performance of a really good song choice. To me, a really good song choice. And it was a perfect performance. Like, oh my God.
You're right. It was actually probably their best performance.
Why am I sensing a butt? What's going on here?
Well, they were good. I mean, their best performance. But the problem is that, and not to sound completely cynical, because suicide's a real thing, and it's a sad thing. But Donnell, I don't know if you caught his story in the beginning, but he basically said that he tried to commit suicide when he was in the Navy. And yeah, exactly, bro. This is what I'm saying. We're going into the finals. We didn't hear about Donnell's being suicidal for the first 3 times they were up. I mean, all of a sudden now we're going into the finals, and we've got a story about him wanting to commit suicide when he was on the ship, but he didn't because something told him not to. And now that basically he's saying like the choir kept him from killing himself. It's just like, talk about telegraphing or trying to drag votes in your story.
Yeah, confession time. I didn't hear the intro, Shane.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, my kids were screaming and yelling, and until the music comes on, they are just in my face, like making noise.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I got my one kid here and one kid here, just like making noise. And when the music starts, they stop and they turn. But during the intros and everything, nothing keeps their attention. So I didn't hear that.
What you missed was a big shadow being put over the entire performance for me personally, because I felt like it was maybe he did really have that happen to him, but it's not something you bring out for the finals so that you get some sympathy voting, and they didn't need it because guess what? It was their best performance last night.
It really was.
It was a good song choice, and they did a great job. But they got 0 votes for me because I felt like they were trying to trick the audience. Not trick the audience. I felt like they were trying to pull a sympathy card. And quite frankly, their performance itself spoke for itself last night and probably would see them through. But I don't know. America's funny sometimes. People tend to fall for this stuff. I don't think our viewers fall for this stuff.
No.
And I don't think we fall for this stuff. But a lot of people will. So, personally, I say shame on Donnell for dragging this out for the finals.
That's so unfortunate. You know, I didn't even see that, and
yeah, disappointing.
My initial response to their performance was just like nothing but praise. It was me, it was so good. It was. I've never seen a live choir performance that was like amazing. It was, you know, they're always like, oh, like, that's pretty good. Oh, that's cool, but never like, wow, this was so perfectly choreographed, so much energy. The song was good. It was perfectly performed. But the second you told me there's an intro where the guy's talking about some super sob story about committing suicide on a boat or whatever, my entire opinion just changed, and that's crazy. I think that's going to hurt him. That their entire group's going to hurt because of that and maybe it's not nonsense, but that telegraphed, story. You know, again, it's been 6 weeks. We haven't heard anything about that. So,
I think without that story last night, I think Greater Works puts themselves into the finals and throws serious competition. You know, because they're doing so good in their song choices. Their music is really good. They're really showcasing a lot more of the singers. They were setting themselves up, but it's just putting a shadow over it like that. I don't know it was necessary. And then at the end, the judges are like, you know, we're so sorry. You know, they're basically apologetic for what he's going through. And then you've got the people, his people are crying. I mean, I don't want to say bad things about somebody, but it's awfully what's the word? It's awfully
convenient.
Easy that this happens. Convenient, yes. It's a convenient story at a convenient time with convenient emotions, and now we are expected to swallow it and vote accordingly. And you know what? You got 0 votes for me last night, Greater Works. 0 votes.
That's crazy. I voted for them.
I was offended, honestly.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know what's funny is I was wondering what the weird hubbub after the performance was. It seemed like sort of this awkward, like, it didn't feel like the normal end of a performance because the judges weren't acting normal. And now I know why.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a bummer, man. I'm really sad to see that, because that means that we're probably, I mean, unless America actually bought it up, you know, and ate it up and are actually voting for them, I feel like there's a lot of Americans that are like us where they're like, oh, that's not hard to enjoy this now.
They packaged a beautiful Aerosmith song.
Beautiful.
I mean, just
positive.
I mean, one of Aerosmith's great later career songs.
Yeah.
You know, and
like #1 chart-topping hit back in 2000, right? So
it was
it was
from
a
great
movie, right?
It's just too bad.
Yeah. Anyways,
it was in
Armageddon.
Armageddon. It was in Armageddon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer, man. Sorry, that's bad to hear. Okay, let's move on to something more positive. Damn, that blew my mind. Next up was my favorite comedian this entire season, and the only one left, Mr. Preacher. I love this guy, man.
I know you do. And I like him too. I think that he has a great personality. I love his energy. I don't love Preacher as much as I've liked other comics, and I think the problem with me is that it's the same thing I've been complaining about every time. Every time I feel like it's the same thing, I'm like, oh, Preacher's so funny. You know, but at the same time, his delivery is so fast, and a lot of his jokes don't always hit. But the stuff with Tyra last night was really funny.
Was hilarious.
He let in talking about his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, and then you find out, you know, it's big foreheaded Tyra, and that was great. I really like that, and I'm sure that Preacher is going to go through this week,
especially after Tyra introduced him as, you know, the most impressive thing about this guy is that he doesn't need anything but a microphone. Like, she introduces him like with so much love, and then he just roasts her on stage. It was fantastic to watch.
Yeah, but it's like I said, maybe this is just who he is, but if you blink when he's talking, you're gonna miss it. You know, you have to kind of almost be, because he even said Tyra's name really fast, and it took a delayed second for me to go, oh, he's talking about Tyra on stage. You know, and so I hate to be critical of him because he is the last comic, and he's very good. His physical comedy is really fantastic.
Yeah,
I love his physical comedy. It's just that I really wish, and maybe as time goes on, he'll learn to slow down his delivery a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot. He still needs to stay kind of hyper because that's who he is, but just enough so that it's a little more understandable, and that the jokes have enough time to catch.
Yeah.
So sometimes audiences, they're not in your head. So when you deliver a joke, there needs to be a second or two delay so that people can go, oh, okay, I got that. But he
That's
kind of
true.
moves right on through.
His timing is a
So
little rushed. I think
it's a little bit,
I think that's a
but it's
symptom of having 90 seconds or whatever he has
Right.
on AGT.
yes. And I like I said, it's kind of a super critical thing for me to say. Overall, you know he's going to be in the top 5. I mean, you just know he is.
Yeah, and I think that if Preacher had the time to breathe, that it would be a different show. But he doesn't. He's got to win an audience with enough material to impress the audience as well as make them laugh in a very short amount of time. Where normal comedians have setup time and they have time they can let things breathe. That
Right.
not in AGT.
But we've had a lot of comedians on the show.
Yeah.
Tom Cotter and a lot of people before, and there was never really this problem getting a set through. So it might be something internal with him. I know he knows his comedy is tied to kind of being a little spastic. So I'm not saying he should change anything. Honestly, I'm not saying he should change anything going into the future shows. I don't know if he can be any funnier. And he might lose what he has already doing it. But I just, from a perspective of somebody who does enjoy a lot of comedy, he loses me a little bit with that. So, I wish him the best.
I think you're right, because the last joke was not even in his set. It was when Tyra came out and tried to tape his mouth, and he goes, "You're gonna need more tape than that."
Oh yeah,
because he just
that
talked
was a great
about
joke.
how big
That
his
was a
mouth
great
was,
joke.
and and
Right.
that was what it was. It had time to breathe. It set in.
Yes.
That he's concerned about the size of his mouth, right? And then when she comes out with the tape, and he there's a punchline there that it just sold that. So that
Yeah, it was
unintentional joke actually had enough time to breathe, and that was probably the funniest thing he had done.
Yeah, you're going to see this guy for a long time, I'm sure. He's going to be like wine, dude. He's going to get finer with the age.
Yeah, because he'll get better at his craft, too.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully Preacher goes through. Preacher is also the second person I voted for. I voted for 3 people last night. Greater Works was 1. Preacher was the second one, and we'll get to the third one. The next act I did not vote for was Johnny Manuel. I don't like this person. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
I don't think he's talented. I think he's talented. I think he's a talented singer.
Really?
But I don't think... Okay, I'm going to read exactly my personal notes, okay, from what I wrote last night. And it's going to sound mean, so, don't take this too badly, whoever's listening. What I said was, he's boring. Every song he chooses is either the worst version of a bad choice, and his range is all over the place. You can tell he can sing, but for whatever reason, he chooses to push all of those notes out in a single song.
Okay.
And it's hard to like him, not just because of song choice, but because the range is all over the place. It's hard to find a solid ground to stand on with this guy.
It's a sweet spot. So 2 things. Johnny sung his own song last night. So huge kudos for being. It was his own song.
Oh, that's
so huge kudos to him for coming out and singing his own song, which to me had the potential to be likable, but was still kind of boring. Like you could imagine hearing it on the B-side, like we were talking about earlier. It was a B-side song. The problem with Johnny is, and this is not Johnny's fault. I personally don't like Sade. I personally don't like certain singers in the way that they sing, and I do not like Johnny's voice. Personally, I just don't like it. I feel like he's in the sweet spot for about 3 seconds, and then he's above it and below it, and he's just... I personally am not... Yes, I am not enjoying the sound of his voice.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
And I can't tell if the judges... And listen, I'm not a voice expert. No. I'm not a singing expert. So I question myself when people like Simon and Mel B are saying, wow, you're an amazing singer. I'm like, what am I missing? I've been watching singing shows for, 15 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like I know what sounds good. And for whatever reason, I feel like he's just not in the zone the whole time.
You know, we've had this
So,
conversation before about like when I'm doing graphics and I just overdo the graphics because I've been doing graphics for 25 years and I have this idea that it needs to be something that's cutting edge, but regular people don't need cutting edge. They just need good. Sometimes you need to find a theme and stick to it. And minimalistic is important in art, just like it is in singing. And
right.
maybe Simon hears, because he's an actual professional at this. He hears all this range and stuff. He's like, wow, that's really hard to do. And so to him, this is a super talent, but it's not being honed properly because it's all over the place. That a regular person has a really hard time connecting with it.
Well, yeah, I think you're 100% right. And I think that the judges don't want to be responsible for tanking anybody at this point in the competition. Heidi was, gracious enough to say, I think you're forcing it a little bit too much. She did say that, but you're a great singer. They always come back. You can always tell when the judges didn't really like the performance a ton because they over compliment them. They kind of criticize a little bit and they over come back and go, but you're great.
But you're great. You're fine. Yeah. Still love you. You're a star. Yeah.
So I want to give Johnny huge points last night for being brave enough to come out and say, this is who I am. I'm going to sing my song and let the chips fall where they may. Unfortunately, Johnny, I don't know if you're going to go through because it just wasn't a good song choice. But you know what? I've been wrong about this guy the whole time, and everybody keeps voting for him. So I honestly don't know. Anything could happen with Johnny Manuel.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this guy has like a hefty social media presence. Like maybe he knows someone in the industry that's tweeting or posting for him.
Well, there are people. He was popular among certain crowds, 10 years, 15 years ago, whatever it was. 20 years ago. No, it can't be that long ago, but 15, 20 years ago. So he probably still, as soon as he came back in the limelight, there's a lot of people in their 20s now who listened to him as a child who are probably like, oh, yeah, that's our guy, so they're probably got his back. So he probably does have a pretty decent social media following, more than other people will. But I personally didn't like it. I want to give him huge credit for going the distance and doing his own song.
Good job
being brave.
I mean, that's hard to do, especially when every other song has been something canned, right?
I just don't enjoy his singing.
Yeah, neither do I. I don't enjoy his singing. So like when I say I don't like this guy, I'm not referring to the person because I don't know him personally.
Seems like a nice guy.
And he doesn't really talk enough for me to actually get to know him. He's very quick into it. I'm referring to his singing and his overall performance are just like meh. Just does nothing for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that all the way.
Cool. Okay. Well, after Johnny, we had Billy and Emily England.
I love that you have this. I love that you have this look about you.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about these people.
Okay, go ahead. I mean, I do have some stuff to say because I kind of know. I know where you're at in your mind right now. Okay, I know you're tired of watching him spin.
They just keep spinning. It won't stop.
But listen,
it's never ending.
I thought this through really carefully. Okay, what they do is insane. It is crazy, and I don't personally think there's probably 2 other people on the planet who also can do this. So what I will say about these guys is they're probably the only 2 people doing it. Yeah. Their family did seem a little crazy. They come from Daredevil family. So I got to say, I'm tired of watching them spin too, but when I watch them, I can't stop watching it. Like she throws her body around while he's holding her in weird contorted positions that the human body should not be able to hold another human body while it's spinning like that. And listen, they're doing new moves. They're still spinning, but it's new moves every time.
Yeah, but
then he throws her off the stage at the
So that part was exciting. That was new to me, but the first 99% of their act, even if there was new stuff, to me, it just looked like they were spinning in different shapes.
But at what point do you say to yourself, there is so much talent in what's occurring in front of us that it just doesn't matter that it's not new.
I can't.
You
I
know what I
can't.
mean?
I can't say that. It's like,
You can't. It's
listen,
I personally
clearly
think
it's
that
talented. Clearly it requires talent and strength and
and
practice.
craziness. You know, a little. There's like this combination of what's
Yeah,
happening there.
it does. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I mean, are you saying that if I edited their video and put their spinning on a loop, that you could just sit there and watch it until you die?
No, I can't. I don't. You're right. I'm
After
with
like
you
5 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. What's next?
No, I'm over. See, I'm over it too. The problem with people is that we're so pressed with so much interesting visual things on a day-to-day basis that we quickly want to move on, even though something is like amazing that you're watching in front of you. There's only so much of it you can do, but I can't seem to get past how crazy it is that he's spinning his sister wearing skates, and her head's like going past the past the round thing that they're on, and they're on skates. We've all roller skated. We know how crazy it is. I could barely stand up these days on roller skates. So it just blows my mind every time. And so what happens is I keep saying to myself, well, I'm kind of bored of watching him spin. But then I get stuck on the technical aspect of what they're doing, and I'm like, wow, it's impressive.
Yeah.
So are they going to get the votes this week?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm still impressed, but I'm also bored.
I think
a little bit.
I think when she grabbed the thing in her mouth and they spun around, I think that was pretty cool.
That was different.
That was different. But it wasn't as cool as when she grabbed his beard a few editions ago.
Right. That was definitely way cool.
That was definitely much cooler, and I think they're gonna do something like that again. And he was like, no, that was super painful.
Yeah.
You know, I like that he threw her off stage. That was sort of cool.
Unexpected.
I feel like there's something else here that could be happening that is not happening that would make this act much better. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what
else they could. Yeah, no, I'm with you, but I don't think there's nothing they can do. I think they know this is our act. I think they're part of a variety show that's going to be either in Vegas or someplace else, and they're one of the acts in that show. They come out, they do their Daredevil spinning routine on skates, and that's it. You know, sometimes having a talent doesn't mean you can put an entire show into it. Yeah. And that's where Billy and Emily are at, and that's probably why if they do make it to the finals, which I don't think they will, if they do make it to the finals, they're definitely not going to win the whole thing.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, totally impressive what they do, though.
It's impressive, yeah. I just feel like I've seen the audition a few times. The song choice this week was better than previously. It matched better, like, their whole thing. And notice the Game of Thrones references in the background. So they have the ice wall with you know, no spoilers. Oh, this might be a spoiler. But they have the ice wall back there, and they have these fire-breathing dragons, and at some point, there's an ice dragon.
I'm going to beat you right now.
Blowing up the wall.
I don't beat you right now.
And
why
I'm
we
like,
got to do this?
Look, if you saw...
I haven't seen it yet.
No, listen, if you saw AGT last night, okay?
I wasn't paying attention to that.
Okay, well, maybe you should have. I mean, clearly it was a Game of Thrones
the people
reference.
Skate.
And they had like the Game of Thrones banners, you know. It's a Game of Thrones thing. It was.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, I haven't seen the final episodes of Game of Thrones.
She was like Daenerys Targaryen, and he was like Khal Drogo. You know, that's what it was. That's what they're going for.
Khal Drogo's dead, bro.
I know. Thank you. That's a bigger spoiler if you haven't seen the series, by the way. That's a much bigger spoiler than what I just mentioned a dragon.
It's season 2.
You talk about someone dying in the show. It's much different.
I can't spoil season 2.
But there's people that are literally waiting for it all to end before they watch the series.
That's not a smart move. Anybody who's doing that.
It's not.
It may never end the way it's succeeding right now.
Yeah. So by the way, if you look at the image to the left here, I took this screenshot of Howie because right when he threw her off the stage, Howie was like, "Oh my god!" And I was hoping that there'd be a shot of Mel with her insane hair, which we'll get into. I don't want to talk about that yet. But there wasn't, because I was expecting her to be doing the same thing, off the chain, because he had his hands on his head. He looked totally shocked, and I don't know if he's just a great actor or what, but that was genuine shock, I think.
Oh no, yeah, no. They showed Heidi and Simon react too, and Simon like turned around, looked behind. I'm not sure why he did. I guess he wanted to see what the audience was doing. I did not expect him to let her go. I just didn't see it coming. It was a little weird going off the back. Like, I wasn't sure. It would have been really cool if they had set something up so he could have thrown her sideways, like maybe behind one of the barriers or something like that. So it would have looked like, because when he threw her from behind, it was a little bit, you're almost like, you had to like, what just happened there? But if he would have like swung her and shucked her to the side like that, it would have seemed more like an accident.
That's what I want to see. I want to see him. No, listen. This is gonna sound bad.
He wants to see her fall.
No. I want to see them set something up where on one of those upswings where he's coming up, he just tosses her, gets mad air, and they plan it so that she lands in something soft or some kind of trick or something. That would totally sell me on this, because that would require such insane coordination and actual mathematics that I'd be like, okay, I can watch this in Vegas.
Okay, so in the finals, so here you go, Billy and Emily. If you guys make it to the finals, Billy, you need to chuck her into a net across the stage.
Chuck her as far as possible, dude.
And you're going to be like, and I promise you, if you do that, you get votes from both of us.
Yeah, you get votes from a lot of
and
people.
Probably all over America. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if she breaks bones, you win the show. So
she did say she could break bones. So
yeah.
Anyways, let's move on from these guys.
All right. Next up was another one of our favorites, I would say. Evie Claire, right?
Evie, yeah. I mean, I really like Evie.
Is it Evie Claire or Evie? Am I saying it wrong again?
You're right. No, Evie Claire.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. We got more of her story about her dad, and I've got to tell you, at this point, I'm more compelled at what's going to happen to her father than I am really about her performance each week.
Yeah, I want to see a reality show.
I'm waiting for. I mean, and that's sad to say. Who wants to watch a reality
obviously
show?
One in which he survives. Like, if he doesn't survive, never air it. Okay, that would be the saddest thing in the world. And that song, when she sang it last night, I felt so sad for her.
Yeah,
I liked it too.
Yes,
it felt so sad to me. And
every one of them.
Her dad's story is definitely overshadowing her performances, because every performance, it seems to be sadder and sadder, and it's hard not to remember that when she's singing, to be honest.
Well, and she's suffering from the same thing a lot of these singers suffer through on America's Got Talent, and a lot of the singing shows. You start to sound the same. Your songs all start to sound the same, and you have to either mix up the speeds, you have to slow down or speed up, you have to give an adjustment to what's happening. And as we're going to talk, when we talk about Chase, we're going to talk about this happening to him as well. But to both Evie and to both Chase, this sort of monotony of how they sound, even though it sounds good, is starting to blend into each other. All of her songs are starting to sound like kind of one long song. All of her songs sound sad because of her story. I like the sound of her voice. I like Evie Claire, but I don't think she did herself a huge service last night.
Yeah, song choice was a little off, but as Simon says, her tone and her pitch were pretty much perfect.
Yeah, she sounded like she always does. Very, very good.
Yes, and I liked it, but I was sad. It made me sad.
Which is great. You had an emotional connection to it, so it probably even played more into you. I was a little distracted.
Bad for her
during her performance.
I couldn't even imagine what she's going through.
Not at all. I would love it to see a documentary on this story after the show's over. Somebody should go out and actually do a documentary about their life, even if the father does.
Not a reality show. Documentary is definitely
a documentary, and just follow her family throughout this entire experience, and to get more behind the scenes stuff. Of all the stories on stage, hers is definitely the most compelling and the most intriguing. Life or death is always, the biggest thing that we have.
And I gotta say, what's really telling about the show, though, is that she has definitely the hardest story, the hardest to deal with story coming into this tournament, and it's ongoing. and you notice how they're not pushing it,
Yes.
while they continually push all the other manufactured stories.
Well, I mean, they mention it every week like it is. I mean, but they're not harboring on it. I mean, how do you harbor on finality? You can't celebrate her story like you can a lot of the other people.
Right.
A lot of the other people have overcome things. Everything's an overcoming. You know, it's whether you're deaf and now I can sing, whether you're blind and now I can, or you know, it's whether I've been in a plane crash and now I'm burned, but yet I'm succeeding because I'm singing.
Right.
For her, there's the
whether you're homeless,
upside
beat
is
up by migrants, and now you have dogs. You know,
right? Okay. Yeah, whatever it is, but her story is not an overcoming story.
Right,
her story is
it's happening
crap,
now.
She's in the middle of it. It's happening now. So
she has to overcome this to get the next step. Yeah,
right.
That's crazy. Okay, well, moving on to my favorite homeless drifter, Sarah and Hero and Loki. And I gotta say, the picture you're seeing right now is her getting prepared for her show, and you know, her and the dog, they look great together. You know, she's clearly, this dog is amazing, and she's an amazing person. But here's the next picture of the intro. Oh, look at that, bro! She's missing teeth. I don't know what to say. She looks like she got beat up. Her nose is crooked.
Bro, you gotta stop this.
I don't know what to tell you.
Stop this.
These intro videos, they never end.
Okay, look, I think what happened was, in all fairness to Sarah, I think they shot most of this stuff in the very beginning. Okay, because now the Sarah that first auditioned and the Sarah we have now is totally different. She's much more confident. You can tell that she's just a changed person through this whole experience. She's grown as an individual. You don't have the same kind of pathetic, sad. I mean, I'm not. I'm being real. I keep it real.
I know.
So
you do.
And a lot of what I think you're seeing is a lot of this pre-stuff that was shot. It's hard to. I don't even want to say anything else about it, but you're right.
I'm not gonna get into it more, but it's every time I see the intro, bro. It precursors the show, and it sets a tone where I'm like, I'm having a hard time not remembering that previous intro where it looked like she got beat up by wandering drifters. I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, get the sticks.
Hey, get the sticks. We're doing Sarah and Hero's intro again. Let's beat her up.
Yeah, she's like, do we have to do this again? It's every week. It's killing me.
The funny thing is, she was in the intro. She's talking about how she rescued the dogs and like nursed them back to health. Sorry. And then she goes, but really they rescued me. I'm like, yeah, it looks like you're rescued by wandering dogs.
Stop!
They forgot to nurse you back to health.
Born amongst wolves.
When she said she was rescued, but they rescued me. I'm like, yeah, it looks that way. It looks like you were rescued by a pack of dogs.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Stop. Okay. Listen, guys, I apologize for him. I don't know what's up. Listen, it's funny though. It is.
I mean,
funny.
You're seeing the same picture I am. It's not me.
I know, but I wasn't thinking that necessarily. I was like thinking. Let me tell you what I was thinking. And during the performance, I was thinking, these dogs they know what to do so well that you know what I thought? Unlike Olate dogs and even the people we had earlier, the Pompeo family and their dog shows, you can just tell that Sarah spends all of her time with her dogs because they move. No, I'm not meaning it like that. I mean it like if you're a dog trainer and you spend all your time with an animal, right? It just moves fluidly with you. The dogs just move fluidly
outside. No, you're right though, man. And you know what's funny is I actually
where is this coming from?
I
had 20 ticks. She knew. When she saved Loki, okay, she said he had 20 ticks on him. Let me tell you something. A normal person says the dog has ticks. You don't know the exact number of ticks. She knew how many ticks were on the dog.
Because she personally picked them off.
Right. Close to the animals, and that's why she's succeeding, because those animals trust her.
No, and I'm listen. I'm making fun of her, but She's
Yes, you
super
are.
talented. I am. She's super talented, and I gotta say,
And I'm laughing at it, and I feel bad about
it's a
it.
180 for me because at the start of
Funny.
this season, when we first saw her, I was like, "This is dumb. I hate this."
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't even want her to go through.
I didn't
I think
want to
we
go
can.
through, and now
We
I'm
can
like,
say,
I want to see more. I love these dogs. She's probably the best dog act that we've ever had on AGT in 12 seasons. You know, but the intros have got to get better. Just change them because for me personally, it just overshadows
I
the
just don't want to
performance.
look at her anymore.
No, it's
Yeah,
not. You know what's
listen.
crazy is like you see the intros and then you see her come out on stage, and it's like a different person.
No, it's true. Listen, Sarah and Hero had problems last night. She had a short week. There were miscues. The dog missed the frisbee. The dog missed a couple of moves.
Yeah,
There were some miscues last night. And despite all that, she got my votes because she deserves to go forward. And I felt that in
yeah.
what's happening with her. And I know there's a lot of other people out there behind her. I really want to see her move on to the next level, get enough time to really put something together. Bring us the third dog, please, Sarah. I'd like
Yeah.
to see that.
I gotta say, giving her 5 days to come up with this act is criminal.
It's crazy, but I mean, she pulled it off for
She's
the
not a
most part.
singer. She did, but but it was sloppy. Okay,
There was sloppiness.
I
yeah.
love that performance still because those dogs are just freaking amazing. But you can tell it was super sloppy and super rushed, and she was having fun with it. Like when the dog would mess up and go off stage, she was laughing.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, no, whatever.
Yeah, because to her, the most important thing is not the show; it's the dogs, right?
And the music was great. Great choice of music.
Great choice of music, but dogs are not like people. You know, if you give 5 days to a dancing act or a singing act or any act really that's not dogs, then you can do it. But you give 5 days to a dog act, a dog is not going to cram, for 5 days straight to make sure it's perfect.
Right.
It's
You're so right.
yeah. It's got to be for teaching dogs is all about repetition over time.
Right.
And the fact
No,
that she was able to
absolutely.
pull off a show in 5 days at all, to me, is performance. And they even said that because it should be noted that she had 5 days to teach two dogs a brand new act.
Yeah, no, she deserves a lot of credit for last night. And despite some of the flub ups, that's why I gave her my votes. I really wanted to see that happen. I guess it's the same thing. I've got this special feeling for like Eric Jones and for Sarah. These are our non-singing acts that are bringing something different to us every week. Have to learn something new. When you're a singer, it's not hard to sing.
Right.
You can learn a new song. It takes some time, but when you have to put together an act, there's a difficulty factor that must be at least taken into consideration.
And I agree, which is why she was my third person I gave my votes to. Even through
Fantastic.
all my criticisms and all my making fun of her looks not her looks, but like the way they present her in the intros, I still think she's amazing. She deserves to go through it. I hope we get to see her again where she actually has enough time to do what she needs to do. And she was the last act I gave votes to. Because other acts I either think weren't worthy of the votes last night, or I think they have enough quote unquote plot armor to get them through the next round no matter what.
And unfortunately, that's kind of how a lot of people end up off the show. So, which is why I did vote for somebody that we're going to talk about here very shortly.
Okay. So next coming up is Chase. And as you can tell, I didn't vote for him last night.
I didn't either.
I like Chase a lot. I think that it is incredible that you can continually perform original songs that make me want to buy that album. And I gotta say, Chase, I love you, man. Your music is awesome. Honestly, if you had a social media account and you put out a link to an Amazon store where you had your CD, I would buy it today. I would buy your album today.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, if I had one criticism, the whole girl falling for the wrong guy thing is starting to drain me.
Yeah, and that was a B-side song last night. If you're getting a Chase Goring album, that was one of his side B tracks. It wasn't one of the. I mean, every album let's go back to Alanis Morissette, where every song on the album is amazing. It just doesn't happen like that very often.
No.
And Chase is pulling off good songs each week, but last night was not was not a chart topper. And while he's still got to get credit that he's singing his own songs, he is going to fall between the cracks here. Chase, you got to do something, man, if you make it to the finals. And I don't know that that's going to happen.
Regardless, as soon as I've actually looked for it. When I find Chase's album out there somewhere, I'm buying it.
Well, the reason why you can't right now is because, and I learned this actually by talking with a couple of other AGT people who know contestants, and I don't want to be specific about it, but basically they can't do anything until this is over. AGT owns them, and AGT even owns a portion of whatever they sang or did on this show afterwards. So whatever money that he does make with this songs that he sang on the show, portions of that will go back to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because Puddle's YouTube page has blown up.
Yeah, I mean, you can advertise it all you want.
The guy doubled his subscriber base, and his YouTube page is him singing songs like he does on the show.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't perform it. But monetizing off of that, there's going to be some reciprocation that happens.
Understood. Okay. Well, hopefully when it's all over, however it plays out, I'm gonna buy that guy's album. I really like Chase a lot, but that last night was not a great performance. I hope we see him again, but I just didn't feel right voting for him just because I liked him previously.
Right.
And he's a singer. Now, if he was a variety act and he stumbled a little bit, I would have voted for him. But there's so many singers that I felt the right thing to do was to not vote for him.
No, I did the same thing. And plus, to me, he's had back-to-back weak performances, and I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. As much as I like him, as much as I want to hear what he's going to do in the future, I don't think it's fair to keep putting him through if he's not one of the best acts. And last night he was not.
I gotta say, he's number 3 on the odds, though. So
it's hard. I mean, he's doing things. He's writing his own music, and he's still doing. Let's put it this way. Let me put it this way. Of all the individual performers last night, maybe outside of Mike Young, that sang, and Darcy Lynn, his was just as average as everybody else's.
Right.
So not any worse, not any better. Just about the same. And so for that matter, maybe he does get a few more points because it is his own music.
Right.
So.
Okay. So good luck, Chase. Good
luck, buddy. We like you.
Darcy Lynn was up next. I didn't vote for her only because she's guaranteed to go through.
Well, I agree with you. In fact, I believe personally that Darcy Lynn won the entire competition last night with her performance.
The beginning part of it for me was super awkward and weird, but when she got into the singing, and she got into the whole act with the singing and talking to Simon, it just got better and better and better, and she is so impressive.
From beginning to the end of the performance, it felt complete. It felt bookended. It felt like a professional performance, like you would see on stage. It felt so real. I don't know how this child is able to have this sort of poise. Forget about the fact that her talent is beyond crazy, being able to sing better than any of the other individual singers sang last night with her mouth closed. I'm pretty sure she won the contest last night. I gave her my votes for one reason. I feel like there was a little fear that everybody's going to think that. Okay, she's doing so great that nobody votes for her.
That's a good
point.
point.
So I voted, just because historically speaking, I've seen that happen. I truly feel like she probably is going to win the entire competition. She is my number one pick to win the whole thing.
I got a question for you, though. What about the top of the performance when she was like just talking to Simon?
The Edna Doorknocker is a character. I understand that if you think about the fact that Darcy's voicing it and these things that she's saying about Simon is a little weird, especially for for parents who have children, and you have daughters. We have daughters. So I get that, and it kind of was like that, but I got to remember that it's a character, that she's playing a character, and she's the puppet at that moment.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too weird, and I think it wasn't too dirty. It was a little bit. It wasn't
dirty. It was
naughty.
For me, it was just a little awkward and a little cringy. But to be honest, the second she started singing, I basically forgot about it.
Right. It was over, and it moved on, and.
Yeah,
and the song choice
moment where
was
she's
fantastic.
Singing to Simon.
The song choice was beautiful, man. It was really good choice for.
I forgot to change
I
the
mean,
slide. Almost there. I forgot. I was still looking at Chase. Sorry, guys.
that's not Chase. That's
Yeah.
not Darcy. That's Chase.
Now we're looking at Darcy and the puppet.
But yeah. So what did Howie say? You made a puppet become a real woman.
Yeah.
Is that what he said? I mean, you could tell that Simon was honestly, I think the word I used was besmidgen about what occurred. He looked honestly a little red, and I've seen people focus on Simon all the time when they do things like this, and I've been watching him for years and years and years, but I've never seen Simon actually as in love with that performance, I think, as he has ever been with any performance that was done specifically for him.
Yeah, I like that. You're right. And I gotta say, her being able to control the puppet while singing huge songs with her mouth closed and all while walking
down steps,
doing all those things at the same time, she's got to be running like an Intel, i8 processor, because she is multitasking so well, and she's a star doing it. I'm so impressed with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so good luck, Darcy. I hope that I not voting for you don't mess it up for you.
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure she's going to go through. She was just. It was by far the most impressive show. I know we have one more person to talk about, so I hate to do that to you, Mike Young, but honestly, Darcy was the best last night.
And very impressive. All right, next up, like you just said, was Mike Young. He was the last performance of the night, and I'm gonna say this about Mike Young. He was good last night. Not amazing.
Can I tell you why?
He was good enough, I think. Go ahead.
No, I want you to say what you want to say, but I gave this quite a bit of thought. And, Mike Young has a fantastic voice. He has that Sam Cooke, the Percy Sledge type of thing he could potentially do. What Mike Young is hurting from is he needs a little bit of an ensemble musical. He needs some horns. He needs some things, because he was basically delivering a really good performance last night, but there's not enough up and down with what he's doing. He's got that kind of bluesy thing happening, which is great, where his voice is in that tonal, in that tone. But he needs an accompaniment with it. When he's singing a song like that, like a Sam Cooke, like a Percy Sledge, when you're singing like that, you need some accompaniment with it. Your voice is good,
agree.
but it doesn't carry.
I completely agree. He's doing the subway thing. Him and his guitarist, they're singing in the subway, and he's trying to stay close to his roots, because that's what is comfortable. That's what he's done for 30 years. He keeps reminding us.
Right.
But I gotta say, if you're gonna break out the big band, you do it on the semifinals.
Yes.
And I feel like I would love. And remember, I've been an admirer and a warrior for Mike Young. From every single episode we've been in, I've said, I love this guy, I love this guy, I love this guy. I think that if we actually saw him with a big band with his vocal style, it would have been chart-topping.
Yeah, he really had an opportunity last night, I think. But for him, though, Simon even said that they thought they had lost something. They wanted him to get back to his roots. I think they felt like he did too much the week before. The reality is that he really needs that accompaniment for a song that he chose this week. When he's doing a huge number by himself, then that makes sense. You just Mike in the spotlight, doing his thing. Mm-hmm. But when he's doing something that's a little more bluesy, like he chose last night, that's got a little more resonance with his voice, he needs that, the horns. He needs something to add to that depth.
And honestly, it's more forgiving that way.
It is. And his tone was very, the same across the song mostly.
Yeah. Big bands give you more freedom in your vocal range.
I think he's probably going to luck out anyways last night. I honestly think he's probably going to get through. So, but
I think it's going to be either him or Chase. There's no saving both of them tomorrow night or tonight.
Okay. So now that we're there, do you want to talk about what 5 acts do you think are going to make it?
No, the last thing I want to talk about. I gotta talk about this. You're seeing the picture. It's Mel B's hair. Look, guys, I know it's uncomfortable for you, but we have to have this discussion.
I don't know. I thought she looked like a rooster until I saw this picture.
No, she
So
looks like, if you look at the picture to the left, she looks like Rufio from Hook.
exactly,
Rufio.
she looks exactly
Rufio.
like that.
Mel B.
I mean, if anybody's seen the Robin Williams Hook movie, Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams from back in the early 1991, I think. Yeah, exactly like the character Rufio.
So what's going on? Well, so there's two problems here. Number one, the last three shows, she's had insane, out of control hairdos. And then she's also got this weird Armenian thing she's doing where she's like, as us Armenians would say, and she said something in Armenia. And last night she literally said, as us Armenians would say, then looked down and read something off a piece of paper. What? And then the week before they asked, "Are you Armenian?" She goes, "No, of course not." I'm like, well, nothing. Then what you're doing makes no sense. What's up with the Armenia thing? I think she needs. I'm officially worried about where her mental status is right now. I feel like she's having a weird like. What is it called when like an old man starts to buy Corvettes and stuff, like a midlife crisis?
Midlife crisis. You know, okay, yeah. So you're not far. Anytime someone leaves a relationship that they've had, that they're changing, they want to change who they are. You know, and if you look at through most of the audition process, we talked to this Mel B, looked tone. You know, she was looking good. You know, Mel B.
Sane.
And all of a sudden,
she looks sane.
And all of a sudden in the live shows, you can just tell something's happening in her life. I don't know exactly what it is, but for some reason she feels like she needs to light her hair as if she were a sparkler or a bottle rocket, and so that everybody can see what she's doing.
Which is what I'm concerned about. Next week, I think her hair might actually be on fire.
Well, we're talking about it, which is probably exactly what she wanted to have happen.
I guess, man. I don't know what's going on, but I know we're going to get into predictions, but the weird hair stuff and the weird Armenian thing, maybe she's like trying to stay on the show and she's trying to stand out. But this is exactly how you get off the show, because if you stand out too much like this as the judge, they don't want you back. Okay? They don't want you back because you're taking limelight away from the actual show itself. So
yeah, that's true. Hasselhoff kind of had that problem back in the beginning.
Yeah,
he was getting a little bit too much exposure.
Rufio, I mean Mel B. You know, let's figure it out. Okay, me and you, let's get you some help, man. Maybe an intervention. You know, I don't know. Okay, I mean, I'm waiting for the night she comes out bald, just straight up bald.
Yeah, and then she's like this $1 million.
$1 million. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to see. Maybe she'll just implode next week or something. We'll get to see it on live TV.
Yeah. So let's talk about predictions, bro, for tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think 5 acts going through, 6 are going to go home. It's going to be tight. So
let's talk about the 5 acts going through instead of the ones going home. We always go ones going home, right?
Because there's less. I think you should talk about the less. Let's just focus on who's going to go on and why they should go on. Okay. So go ahead and you take your first pick.
So number 1, I think Darcy Lynn's going through for sure.
I agree.
Because she was the best act last night, and
she was the best.
She's overall the most talented person there.
And she's got a nice combination of vocal and variety.
Yes.
Which and puppet acts, I don't know what it is about ventriloquism. People love it. And people vote it. They always do well on AGT.
Yeah, I agree. I think the next act going through is going to be Sarah and Hero, because the dog act is just too impressive, and even the most average person can realize that training a dog in 5 days has got to be hard, and it was amazing.
I agree with you there too.
I think the third person.
She'll go through.
Thank you. I think the third person going through is Preacher, because for the most part, most of the people I've spoken to, and on Twitter and on Reddit, are loving his set last night. I loved it. I think bringing Tyra into it was really smart. And maybe there's some timing issues, but I think he goes through because he's also the last comedian. So people are gonna,
I agree with you as well. I think Preacher is going to go through as well.
People are going to take that into account.
Agreed.
You know, this is hard for me to say, but you know, I was about to say I think the fourth person going through is going to be Greater Works, but then I think that that story at the beginning is gonna throw people off?
I don't think so. Sadly, I don't.
No.
I think that most people are easily fooled by something like this, and I feel like Great It Works is definitely going to go through. And even though I don't agree with it, and I don't want them to go through, I do feel that they will go through tonight. They're my 4th pick.
Okay, so I mean that was my 4th pick too, but I feel like as for me it's changed though, because I'm like,
yeah, I know they don't deserve to go through after
the stupid story you told me about. That changed it for me, but maybe
I mean, and I don't want to minimize. Suicides is a real thing. Depression is a real thing.
It is, yeah.
There needs to be a platform for it that people can talk about it. But I just feel like it was used as a tool last night, and even though this may have truly happened to him,
yeah,
this may be a real thing for him. But it's like you don't leave it in your pocket and save it for the semifinals.
No.
Then it becomes, disingenuous.
So Great It Works. Let's just keep that as the 4th then.
Okay.
I think you've sold me, because I was already on that side. I wrote these down last night, and they were my 4th pick. And so I think the 5th pick is really important here. I know that you're going to say Eric Jones.
I'm not.
Okay, so I don't think it's going to be Eric Jones. I think it has to be a singer.
I think it will be too.
And I think that the singer it's going to be is Chase.
I think it's going to be Mike Young.
See, when I did this list last night, it was a toss-up between Mike Young and Chase.
I'm the same way. I had those 2 people as well, but I feel like Mike Young probably deserves to go through a little more. His performances the last couple weeks have been a little better than Chase's, and I think Chase is he's a burning star. I think he's burning out. He's losing, content.
See, I'm gonna disagree.
He's used all his good stuff.
I'm gonna disagree with you for one reason. The larger the mob, the shorter the memory, bro. And we're talking about a 25 million person mob that watches and votes on the show, and they're not thinking about last week or the week before. They're thinking about last night.
Well, if they're thinking about last night, then they're going to pick Mike Young.
Okay, see, I think it's a toss-up still.
Okay.
I think
so. You've got Chase. I've got Mike.
Yeah, I think both of them could have benefited from a larger band and a more robust setup, but they both had individual talents that were gone. So it really depends on your subjective opinion on vocal inflection.
So since we know that ABC is watching us, they're going to put those 2 up against each other tonight.
Am I smelling a second bet?
Oh no! I already won. I'm not letting you. I'm not letting you have a chance off the hook.
You want double or nothing, bro?
Oh no, sir! I am going to enjoy this.
All right.
No.
All right.
But I'll tell you this: they're going to put them next to each other on stage tonight. Mark my words.
Okay, I think you're right. And Shane's too afraid to do a second bet, apparently.
Oh, so. Listen, I can't be goaded into it. I cannot be goaded into it.
All right.
Listen, me and my friend Pedro, vote for Pedro.
All right.
Okay?
All right, so Shane and I basically have the same picks for tonight, except for that final pick where he's picking Mike Young, I'm picking Chase. So if you're watching this, if you watched this already, now you're watching the big show, remember that I was right. So.
Or he was wrong.
Or I was wrong. But that's it, man. We're going to try to get this thing up ASAP. We got only a couple hours left before it's too late. So that's it for us. We'll see you guys tomorrow when we talk about who went through and we do our predictions for next week. Shane?
All right. Hey, listen. Great show. We'll see you guys tomorrow for sure. Comment, subscribe, get your in there. Remember, we're going to do the boxings. We got a couple videos coming up where we're going to be doing our giveaways. Video actually putting it together so you can see it, and every 10 shows we're going to be doing this, so make sure you get your comments in and make sure you subscribe,
and we'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll see you guys on Friday. So till then, have fun at the show tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow.